Hey, I'm Coach Jay.
I'm the G-Man.
We've built this podcast for the hardworking men and women of the automotive community.
Some of you will listen and be entertained.
Others will listen and apply.
Our purpose is to provide both.
Welcome to the Hard Shop Life. G-Man, welcome.
Welcome.
Here we are. So today this is Coach Jay. Y'all know me, aka Jair, Coach Jair, whatever. I'm just Coach Jay. Let's be honest. Coach Jay. I've been on sabbatical, doing my own little thing for about a year now. Being very blessed and thankful for having the clients that I've had, and they've known me as Coach Jay. I mean, I was part of Fearless Kindness before. After we left the Beard, I think I'm going to call him that. I think I'm calling
the Beard.
Him the Beard.
Okay, the Beard. All right.
I mean, what do you think?
I think that's fine.
Yeah,
that's nondescript. Nobody would figure.
Who knows and who cares, right? It's just the Beard.
Fine.
So here I am reunited with the G-Man. G-Man, let's talk about the important things. First and foremost, before we get into the beefy content stuff, some people are going to listen to this for the first time and say, "Holy cow, it's the G-Man!" Right? And so
maybe.
Yeah. So let's just get something right out of the way. How's the cholesterol?
Well, the cholesterol is bad and good. It never really came back around. No matter what I did, it never really came back around. So I got on the Crestor.
Oh, okay.
And so now the cholesterol is good. It's under 200 now, and so I'm heavily medicated, and that's what it took to get it done. As much as my wife tried my diet and exercise, and it just didn't work. So
okay, so are you cleared for the hamburgers? I mean, are we hamburger? Are you like
hamburger and French fries?
I mean, are we ready?
Yeah, I'm hamburger and French fry open. So
cool. Well, you know what's funny is that
the Crestor flushes all that out apparently, so I can do what I want.
Fantastic.
I don't have to worry about it.
Well, congratulations for you
Thank
and
you.
your cholesterol.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're happy about that. So, other than that, of course, you and I had to go through rehab after all that tequila we drank. And,
Yeah, right.
Bourbon. So, once that we were out of that, I mean, a lot of people were reaching out to me and saying, "Jair, where are you?" I'm like, "I'm in rehab." So,
hey, where are you? I'm recovering.
I'm recovering.
I'm going to every AA meeting there is. Alcoholic, sexaholic, drugaholic.
All of it. No. So it's all good. It's all good. So we have reunited. We're going to be providing you the content necessary for everything that we do and we know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. I want to hit this off right off the bat with something. I'm talking about something that's rather sensitive when it comes to an issue about management, leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's two different things when it comes to this topic. What do you think? You think it has something to do more with management or more with leadership?
I think, honestly, I just don't see management is more. It's more managing things, and leadership is when it has to deal with people. In my opinion, that's how I feel about it. So, I think anything where you're dealing with personnel and people and people's personalities and anything, it's really more about leadership. You manage logistics, you manage inventories, right? You manage data, but you don't really manage people. That just doesn't work that way. It's more about leadership.
Yeah. So in today's episode, we're gonna start out by saying, it's a really complicated, sensitive subject.
So we're talking about management, leadership, and then we're talking about the issue that came up today.
Yeah, so here's the story. So we had a service advisor on the service drive walk through the shop, walk up to a technician and tell the technician, "Hey, when are you going to be done with that job I gave you?" And the technician says, I'll get to it soon. And he goes, "You know what? Hurry it up. Like, you're taking too long. You're too slow. I sold this already. I got to give the customer an update." And so all of a sudden the technician snapped and says, "You know what? I'm going to do it when I'm good and ready." And so then that created an altercation. The service advisor started bad-mouthing the technician in front of the technician. The technician got it to his face. And then the service advisor walked away. Of course, the technician was really annoyed with him, and what he did is he started following him. following him into the bathroom or the locker room in the back where there's a restroom back there, into the shop, right? So the back of the shop. So he walks in and he sees that the service advisor is at a stall. And what does he decide to do? He literally pushes the advisor into the urinal.
So we had physical contact.
And literally pushes him into the wall against where, it wasn't, he just shoved him.
Right.
The advisor turns around. They start going at it with each other. Now, nothing really happens because at the same time, luckily, there was another technician in there and kind of like broke them up. Mm-hmm. But they were full blown like cussing each other out. I mean, it was drama.
It was a fight.
It was a fight.
Yeah.
It was a fight.
Yep.
So after that, they get separated. The service advisor is told to go back up front. And next thing you know, there's just a huge fallout. Mm-hmm. The service advisor goes screaming to the service manager, says that the technician hit him, that the technician needs to be apprehended, that he has been
apprehended.
Yeah, seriously, it's ridiculous. The service advisor is demanding
called the Special Victims Unit.
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. I mean, it was like this guy has just. This is battery. This is whatever. I mean, geez, Louise.
Battery.
It just got escalated really quickly.
Yeah. I see.
Right?
I see.
So the next question is I'm in the service manager's office today and we're sitting down and he is freaking out. Mm-hmm. And he's freaking out because he's like, look, I have my number one technician in the shop who has assaulted. Okay. Mm-hmm. I guess we have to allegedly assaulted this advisor. The other bad part is this is the number one advisor. Mm-hmm. So I have two top performers that have gone at it, and now we have major conflict. And so the service manager is freaking out. One, let's give all the facts. Let's put it all on the table. The service manager is short two advisors.
Right.
And he has another technician who's put in his notice who's going to go work for the local electric company and join the union or whatever, right? Because he doesn't want to turn wrenches. And I have this number one technician who is now caused this disruption.
Right.
So the service manager says, I don't know what to do. What do you think, Coach Jay? And
so let's just pause right there. So we have this conflict. It's a big fight. And so the one thing I know and why I believe that this is undoubtedly a leadership issue is because it never should have happened in the first place. The conflict arises because there's no controls. So if he had tight controls on what was happening, because the conflict arose because of a production problem, right? There was a dispatching and production problem. And then because of that, the advisor gets frustrated. The advisor goes out. So advisors have this external pressure that nobody really talks very much about. Well, we talk about it in advisor circles, but nobody else really cares about it. The management just wants it done. The technicians they just want to turn their hours and get their job done. And so they don't, but you have this customer pressure that's coming in. They want their car back, right? They're calling. We need to give them an answer. So now he's got this external force. He doesn't want to disappoint. His CSI's on the line, his paycheck's on the line. So he's feeling this pressure. So he goes out now to the technician directly and demands to know what's going on. There's no layer between the technician and the advisor, right?
Okay, hold on.
There's no controls.
Okay, I don't mean to interrupt, but you got to pick a team. Are you going to be team tech or are you going to be team advisor? Because all I know is team advisor, so I want to be team advisor. Since you used to be a tech, you should be team tech. So why don't we provide perspective of both scenarios, right? Because you would understand what it is to be a tech. To have
I've been there. I know exactly how the tech was feeling. Exactly, 100%.
I don't. I don't turn wrenches, dude. Like I used to sell the stuff, right? Yeah. I was the advisor, frustrated that I'm just coming up to my tech and going, "Hey, man, where are we with this car?" And you're telling me, I see attitude, man. Mm-hmm. I see me being vindictive and saying, "Look, this guy's being an asshole, beep, beep, beep,"
right?
And screw him. And I'm like, dude, this guy's a prima donna, sassy mother lover, who knows, whatever, because he knows he's the number one tech in the shop, bro.
Right.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like that gets under my skin. That gets under my skin. Because
but
now he's trying to control the narrative, man.
But imagine that you're just you're the sled dog, and you're just getting whipped, and you're just like, they're like, more, we need more from you, and it's got to, and it gets to be unreasonable. It's like you're trying. Oh, and by the way, you left the screw loose last time, and we hate you. We're gonna fire you. That was a comeback, and so it's like, oh, on one side we're gonna vilify you if you have a comeback, but on the other side we need you to do this really, really fast and get this car out of here. It's a contradiction, and so they're living in this world where they're just always getting their head kicked in from every possible angle, and it gets to, you get to a breaking point where you're just like, what, to hell with you. Like, I'm doing my work, I'm doing it as fast as I can, and with the highest quality I can possibly do it. Just leave me alone. Just get out of my stall. You don't have no business talking to me. Go away. And that's really where it ended up, right? I mean, the guy was just basically like, get out of my face. You don't. And so again, I'm going to go back to why I believe there's a leadership lesson here, because the leader should have been involved in that. That should have never gotten to that point. I guess I'm getting tongue tied, but I think there are ways of avoiding that kind of conflict. I just don't think it needs to be there. I could tell you that unequivocally, I've been in that situation and been violent before when I was younger and I didn't have control of my temper. And I was a younger G-Man.
What?
Yeah.
G-Man? Were you like kicking cans?
Did some crazy things.
Throwing like wrenches across the shop?
I would throw wrenches.
Really?
I'd get in an advisor's face.
Did you break into windows or anything?
No, I never broke any windows or anything like that. But I was definitely I was young, stupid, and out of control. And there was nobody there controlling me, pulling me back. And there was also nobody there controlling the advisors. They could do whatever they wanted. So they could do what they wanted with my time. They could do what they wanted, pushing me around. And you get to that point where you just break and you snap. And somebody needs to be there. There has to be a connection between the advisors and the technicians. And that's the leader's responsibility to make sure that connection's there. And to get in the middle of that and make sure that this thing flows smoothly. That advisor should have went to the manager. The manager should have been able to kind of influence production instead of that advisor going out there and start screaming at some technician. It just doesn't. That's never going to be productive. It'll never be productive.
So I'm a little torn with that statement, because I'm the person that says, you know what, you should be empowered enough to have the communication and relationship with your techs. You should know how to get their perspective and understand like how they see things and stuff like that. And maybe it's because, I don't know, I see things differently with my experience and my age. I mean, I think these both individuals are a lot younger than us, right? I mean, they're a lot younger than us. And so they haven't had the experience to know how to handle something like this. And at the same time, the service manager, I don't know. I mean, how would the service manager supposed to know? Now I'm removing myself. I'm taking my advisor hat off. And I'm putting my manager hat off, and I'm going, how could I have been prepared for this tension?
See, I don't think you could prepare yourself for it. But that's why I'm saying I think there's a lesson in there. So I don't know that he, like, preemptively, could you have seen this coming? No, I don't think you could as a manager, as a good leader. However, like right now is his opportunity to define the rules of engagement, right? So you're 100% right. I agree with you 100%. I tell advisors all the time that it's their small business to run. Right. They need to be managing production, talking to the techs, helping. But to a point in which it gets to this level where this advisor is going to blow up, like he's like, I'm just at my wit's end. That's when he needs to seek. That's when the hierarchy comes in. Because the last thing you want is every little dispatching thing, they go to the manager. You definitely don't want that. But this was something that was bigger, I think, than that advisor should have taken on.
Okay, so you're saying that, and I agree with you. I think that once the service advisor had gotten the comment from the technician, maybe not make comments back to escalate it, right?
Exactly.
To kind of punch the guy in the face or make something.
Well, I think
there were two breaking points there, right?
100%. The advisor was breaking, the tech was breaking. They were both feeling the pressure. I think the advisor, a lesson for him is when he gets to that point, he shouldn't even go out in the shop. Like if he's at that point where he's like, I just need to know what the heck's going on in my car. I'm so frustrated. He's at that position. Then the lesson for him is, hey, let's come in and let's talk this out. Show me the jobs you've got. Show me what you got going on. Let me help you get this organized. Let's go out and let's talk to the tech. Let's talk to the shop foreman, the lead tech, however your structure is. Let's figure out a way around this. But the answer, I don't think, is ever to go apply more pressure to the guy who's already under a tremendous amount of pressure. It's the same thing as going to an advisor and just standing over and going, did you call him yet? 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 You know what I mean? Like, how would you feel? You would just be like, okay, that's it. I'll call him when I'm good and ready. Get out of my face,
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's, to me, it's like, I guess a good leader will use this as, and not necessarily, again, it's no fault on him. It's he uses this as a lesson to get better. Uses it as a lesson to help his people get better, and uses this to help, again, firm up the rules of engagement. How are they going to communicate with each other? What are the rules? And when do they seek his help, advice, and his intervention?
Okay, G-Man, so here's the question. Who gets fired?
Well, so here's the thing. Now that to me, that depends. We were talking about this earlier. That's a policy thing.
Okay.
So that I believe is set by the general manager and owner.
I think it's funny because right now, people who are listening to us, and what I want to do in the future is I would want this to be like a survey question. Like go here and I want your comments because so many different managers, so many different advisors, even technicians who are going to listen to this are going to be like, oh, I have my own opinion. Oh, so-and-so should be fired. Oh, you know what I'm saying? The question is it's different viewpoints.
Well, I would say this too, is if anybody out there, tech, service advisor, service manager, anybody is out there listening to this, I would love to hear your opinion because I know there's a million opinions.
100%.
And it'd be interesting to get a survey from each. I'd also like to know who would get fired.
Oh yeah.
In this point, I'd like to get people's perspective on that. So so to recap, so he follows him into the bathroom,
right? And
then the technician shoved the service advisor, right?
Right.
Now, was there any retaliation? Was there retaliation on the advisor to the technician?
So here's the interesting question that I have. Did the guy have enough time to put his junk back in his pants and pull up and put his zipper back? Because, dude, that's a vulnerable thing. I'm vulnerable. I mean, seriously, I'm in the urinal and some guy pushes me, man.
Oh, man.
Seriously. Like, what am I doing? Do I pull up my zipper and then turn around and confront him? Like, I don't know. That's all I'm thinking.
Hey, here's what I would say. If you're a baller, you turn around and just pee right on the dude.
Right? Listen, I'm hearing this story the whole time. Gary, I'm listening to this story the whole time. And that's the one thing that's in my head that I feel like it's not appropriate to ask. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because the manager's telling me the story, and he's over there desperate, like, oh, Coach J, I need your help. Like, what do I do? And I'm over here going, did he put his junk back in?
Zip up his fly.
I'm just putting myself in the picture, man. Okay, so once we've got over that. So, yes, he pushed him. There's some scuffle that happens. Junk in or junk out or in, we don't know. Yeah, but there's problems. And they get, separated by one of the other technicians.
Right. So I do know that, like, at some of the places that I've been, that if there's any kind of physical altercation, the person who initiates it is the person that automatically gets terminated. So I've been at places where they have a zero tolerance policy for that. Pushing, shoving, punching, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Automatically, that guy's terminated. Now, the response of the person that was touched would have an impact on it. Now, if he fought back, took a swing, slugged him, wrestled him to the ground, any of that kind of happened, then they both would get terminated. In I would say 50% of the places that I've been, that would happen. Now, there are other places that, they have a little bit more, they know that it's a high stress environment, high pressure jobs, both of them. Both of them are very difficult to do. And I think they rely more on maybe some communication and training and, give the guys maybe a one-time pass. Guy's been a great tech. He's been there forever. He's a good advisor. He does well. Customers like him. There definitely is something to say about that. I remember the great Jimmy Johnson, the great Dallas Cowboys coach that led them to all their Super Bowl victories.
By the way, congratulations,
the dynasty.
Hall of Fame. He made this Hall of Fame.
Man. I know.
I was crying
Hall
like
of
a
Fame.
baby.
Hall of Fame. If you couldn't tell, I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
from California, Cowboys fan. But he said that they asked him one time. They said, "Hey, look, if do you have different rules for your players? Are all the players under the same rule, or do you treat each one differently?" And he says, "Well, he kind of said that's the stupid question." He said, "Of course I have different rules." He goes, "If a rookie comes out, rookie running back, and he fumbles the ball, then that guy's going to get benched and maybe even cut from the team, right?" But if Emmitt Smith were to drop a ball, he'd go to Emmitt and he'd go, "Hey, buddy, hang on to the ball a little bit. You got a Hall of Fame, all-time leading rusher. You're not gonna treat him the same way, right?"
So is it because he's proven himself? Or are you saying because he's a producer? Mm-hmm. He's a guy that fumbling the ball is like 1 out of 1,000. Right. 1,000 holes.
Done so many good things. It's like you got to give him a pass on that one. And so I think in this case too, with these two guys. Knowing their track records, and seeing their numbers, I think there's definitely an opportunity to coach and try to see if you can do some conflict resolution and keep them both working and profitable for themselves and for the team. Otherwise, you're just giving them off to somebody else. They're going to learn the lesson. Most likely, they will never do it again, and then you're going to hand them off to another dealership so they can make money for them. So it really is. I think. A hard line to me, I think, might be a little bit too aggressive. Just my opinion.
Really?
Yep.
I think that there's something to blame out of all this. I think it's only one thing. And I think it's ego. I think it's the ego of both parties.
Yeah, 100%.
What do you think? I mean, think about it, right? Technician's going to hold his line. He's going to not want to be disrespected. Mm-hmm. He feels that he's disrespected. I mean, technicians you tell me, they're a little sensitive to that. Like, you're walking into my space and you're going to scream at me and demand things from me in my space. It's like walking into my home, bro. Like, don't come into my home and tell me that I need to do something in my home. Because a technician stalls, like, that's their work area. That's their toolbox is there. Everything that makes them money and makes...
Yeah, just walk into a shop and walk through and see their stalls.
Oh, yeah.
And look they move in.
Oh, yeah.
They have things hung in specific spots. They got pictures up on the wall.
Yeah.
It's like their office.
They have coffee makers on their toolbox. Like, what is up with that?
I saw a guy at a George Foreman grill in his stall on his toolbox.
First and foremost, that's not good for OSHA. That is against OSHA policy. Like, holy cow.
I don't think it's OSHA compliant.
No, not at all.
But it's true, though. It is their space, and so you're entering into their space. And I think that's another opportunity for these guys to learn, the advisors to learn, the manager to teach, and become a leader and solidify himself as a leader to show them that, hey, look, you don't walk into somebody's house. You walk into somebody's house and threaten them. You're on their home turf. That's not the right thing to do, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to be way more aggressive. And so that's the same thing with his stall. And challenging him in front of all his peers.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Wow. So ego is you're 100% right. Ego is everything. It was ego in the advisor. Advisor wasn't going to back down. Look, I'm in charge. Ego in the technician. This is my space. You're saying this in front of my guys that respect and revere me. Like, how dare you?
I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's totally unfair. Because I'll tell you right now, and I agree or disagree with me, Gary, but, I'm telling you right now, if the technician would have gone up to the service drive in the service desk and done something like that to the service advisor in that environment, right? Regardless, technician would have been suspended. So because he's like this technician, you know what I'm saying? Like that's I feel bad for technicians because they know that if they would have done it the reverse way, come into my house and start beating them up or doing whatever or shoved whatever it was, even if the advisor would have shoved the technician and say get the heck back into the shop, right? It would have been different because of the environment that. Being on the drive, having customers be able to look at that, right? That I'm telling you, I know it's sad to say, but the manager would be like, "You're fired, you're suspended, you're whatever." That's unacceptable behavior in front of customers or whatnot.
Yeah, there are different rules. There's no doubt. The space, the environment, the geography of it will play a factor in it. There's no doubt. There were customers there. If there weren't customers there, if somebody was on the phone, there's a lot. There's a lot that goes into that, but.
All right. So regardless of what's happened and what we do, next step is what do you do? What are the best practices? Like, what's the best practice on what we would do in order for us to overcome this, tackle it? What do you think would be the best practice for this?
Well,
because we've said a couple things, right? One of the things we have to take into consideration is maybe the seniority, maybe the performance level of the two people, and also, do you take into consideration if this happens with a lube technician compared to the number one advisor? Do you treat it differently that way? Do you treat it different if it's a master tech who is this guy, the number one technician against a newbie service advisor? I mean, how?
So first and foremost, I think all those things, yes. You have to look at who these people are, how long they've been there, how they're performing, and I think that that's going to have an impact on it. If it's a lube tech, I'm not even willing to have the conversation. He's pretty much gone, I think. It just is the nature of the beast. It's not worth the time and energy. I mean, unless he's just like a superstar on his way up. But again, it goes back to the talent level. I think you have to first determine that. I think the other thing, so in my opinion, there are a couple things that need to happen immediately. Number one, obviously you separate the two guys, right? Obviously, yeah. I think number two, I think they both get sent home. I get it. The car is being worked on. It's gonna inconvenience customers. The advisor's not gonna be able to call people back. It's not gonna be the best environment. But I don't know that you think about if you've ever been in a fight like that. It takes a while to come down. Mm-hmm. You cannot leave them there. He's not gonna do the best job on the car. The advisor's not gonna be the best on the drive. I think it's best to send them back. And then the second thing I think needs to happen immediately is you need to talk to the upper management. So my advice is get a hold of the GM or the owner and just kind of let them know, hey, this is what's happened. This is what I've done. This is my first step. I'm gonna do an investigation. I'm gonna talk to everybody and kind of take the witness statements, right? Mm-hmm. Play CSI, mm-hmm. and then maybe we should talk about it. And I think doing that also lets the owner know, because it's his business. It's the general manager's responsibility if the owner's not readily available. It's the general manager's responsibility to run the business. They both need to know what's going on. I think that's an important step.
Now, I'm listening to you and I agree with everything you're saying. And then I'm putting my service advisor hat back on. Mm-hmm. And I'm not putting the service advisor hat of the person that had this altercation. I'm thinking about the others. Because what happens is immediately when you're sending that guy out, right, the service manager is going to go, okay, you guys need to help your brother because I'm sending him home. You guys need to do the follow-up. And that just puts a lot of stress on the advisor. So there's advisors listening to this right now going, well, no, I think that's the wrong call because now you're putting more stuff on me and I don't want to handle somebody else's stuff.
Yep.
Like, what the heck? Now I have to call a customer that this and that. So how do you handle that?
Well, again, that goes back to leadership. I think it is, you got to rally the troops, and sometimes, it is – it's you against a greater number. It's your team against a unstoppable force, right?
Right.
And I think there are going to be more times than just that where you're going to have to overcome something that seems, insurmountable.
Right.
And your ability to lead them through that is, again, it's going to test you, and it's also going to set you up for future conflict. It's going to set you up where people look at you differently. If you're just like, hey, just go do it, and then you walk away and you're like in your office, then you're just going to be like, yeah, this guy left us in the lurch. You have to create the rally cry. Like, hey, we're going to do this. You go to the foreman. You're like, hey, we got to get these cars done. They still have to get done. Like, what can we do?
Right.
So it's like you rally the troops.
I agree with you. I agree. You bring everybody, not everybody, but let's say you bring the advisors together. Look, this has happened. We're not going to talk about it now. We need to take care of what's happening right now.
Yeah, let's go.
And that's a customer.
We have customers.
Right? We have customers got to hit. So is there any volunteers? Who can help out? Who can step up and help your brother who unfortunately is not here right now and probably overwhelmed with a lot of stress, anxiety, just anger, whatever that is? We got to let him decompress.
Yep.
So now that we get him doing that, who's going to step up and let's make sure we take care of the customer so that we are not sacrificing our name as the individuals representing this business, right? And give a bad light of ourselves. Because at the end of the day, who's the customer judging? Are they really judging him or her? Are they really judging them, or are they judging us as a whole, department?
Yeah, that's that's a great observation. That is the leader saying, hey, we're all on the hook here. Like this
happened to all of us.
This is everybody. Yeah, we're all here. So this is not, what happened over there? No, we are a team. When things happen, we rise and fall as a team.
Right.
And so let's go. And I think I mean, honestly, it's funny, you say, oh, there's a silver lining to the cloud. It's euphemism. But the truth is it truly is an opportunity to assert yourself as a leader. I think when bad things happen, everybody's like, oh, why me? And why is this happening now? It's like, no, this is an opportunity for you to really solidify yourself as the leader of this organization and lead them through this tough time. I think each time that comes up, your people gain a higher level of respect for you when you can get them through it. So I really think, again, it just goes back to him. He's got to knock it out.
Well, you know what? I want to give a call to action then for our listeners. If you're a service manager out there, if you're a service advisor, even if you're a technician, I want you to share with us, what would you do? I mean, and I'm going to review their best practices. I'm going to tell you, okay? First and foremost, can we both agree, Gary, that G-Man, that first you want to separate them?
Yep.
Obviously.
100%.
Then we want to have a cool-off period. Probably let them go for the day. Gather the troops, right? Both ends, gather all the techs in the shop and talk to them, or have the shop foreman do it. Gather all the service advisors, get them together. Look, this has happened. We know this is drama. We know whatever, but we need to move forward. We need to make things happen. We need to take care of the customer. Right. So he needs your help. He or she needs your help. And this needs to happen. I need volunteers. Who's going to take it? Here's what's happening. This is the car. Go into the shop, have the shop foreman go, okay, look, we had to send somebody home. We know the condition of where this car is at. We can figure it out. We need to know but we got to take care of the customer. Who's going to step up and take care of this job and make that happen, right? And then after that, I'd say bring them back together after a couple, maybe after a day. Maybe, unfortunately and luckily, actually, fortunately and unfortunately, this happened on a Friday.
Yeah.
So it gave them the weekend to just decompress.
Yeah. No, that's actually
a good
blessing.
Thing. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
Have them come back in on a Monday. Let's get upper management involved, right? To be participants in this, right? Because it's important. Have them sit into the room. And there's several of you listening to this are going to say, oh, we got to call the HR people. We got to call, fine, call your HR people. Get them into your room and let's discuss what happened. Let's discuss what the options are going to be. And if there's going to be punishment, there's going to be punishment. We have to define everything based on what the policies and procedures we've put in place of our culture and our business to ensure that everybody's well aware of what those rules are and how we're going to proceed.
Yeah, I agree. I think 100%. You're dead on the money, and I don't know that there's a perfect way to handle it. So, we're sitting here and we're kind of armchair quarterbacking it, right? And I think that's the role I think that we play as coaches, is to be able to look back and say, okay, we run the film, we looked at the situation, and here's what we think would be a better way of doing it. And I also agree with you. I think I'd love to hear from anybody that has an opinion on the subject, because I'm sure there's a lot. And just to see what other people think, what should be done. But
I mean, for us right now, this is pretty much a lag measure. Something's happened.
Yeah.
Now we learned from it, right? But this is an opportunity for those out there who are listening to us who haven't had this happen to really create a lead measure. What am I going to do if it happens?
Exactly.
How am I going to be prepared for this situation?
How to prevent. How to prepare myself as a leader.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All these things happen for a reason for us. Everything. What's the lesson that we learned?
Right.
That's all it is. It's what was the lesson learned? How can we create a policy or procedure or whatever to overcome this, and then avoid it as much as possible in the future?
And I think if you're a manager or an employee, that's in this type of scenario or in this situation maybe right now, I think the thing to do is not beat yourself up over it. Right. I think, is it appropriate? No. But, is there an opportunity to learn from this? Yes. And that's the thing. I think too often we focus on the failure and say, oh, I'm a bad, this is bad. This is going to, no, it's like, this is an opportunity for you to learn and to become a better person. And that's the thing I think you need to focus on is, if this happens to me again, how do I control my emotions? How do I stop it from getting physical? How do I de-escalate instead of escalate? And I think that's an important lesson for adults in general. When you have conflict, you got to figure out how to de-escalate. That's the whole thing.
And another, words of advice to both the service advisor and to the technician that may be listening to this, that may have somewhat of the same situation at hand before it escalates. Talk to your leadership.
Yeah.
Let them know what's going on beforehand.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because you're going to get way farther that way than having to, sit at a chair and wonder if this is the end of your, your stay.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. That's the worst. You're sweating it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree. 100%.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think we talked about this enough. So shall we cut her off?
We should cut it off. This is Coach J and the G-Man. I want to say Coach J and the G-Man Hour. I don't know. I think it's the Snoop Dogg.
Coach J and the G-Man Hour. Sorry, it's not going to be that long. We don't have that much to say.
That's right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for listening and tuning in, and then they're going to follow us somewhere once we have all that set up, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Cool. 100%. So, this is our first kind of episode. We felt like this topic was too good to pass up, and we're kind of bivouacking it here at our place in Kansas City.
Middle America,
and we're not prepared to shoot a podcast, but we thought this was too good of content, so we'll glue an intro and an outro onto it, and hopefully got something out of it, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Yes, sir.